We're going to talk about Skull and Bones, the Order of Death, founded in 1832, the United States branch of the Illuminati. John Quincy Adams, one of our presidents at the time, banned the organization in the country, in the United States, because it was trying to overthrow our fledgling republic. And to respond to that, using British East India opium money and German agents, they set up the Order of Skull and Bones at Yale. And then, of course, out of Yale and Skull and Bones, the CIA was founded in 1946. We got the National Security Act of 1947, and that's what the shadow government has used as a shroud to expand its control. Never before in history, in U.S. history, have we had both the presidential candidates, the current president, George Walker Bush, and the obvious Democrat frontrunner and heir apparent, John Forbes Kerry. Never before have we had two members of an admitted ritual generational cult known as Skull and Bones, the proper name Order of Death, both of them being the two candidates for president. Now we have it. And a few months ago, John Forbes Kerry went on Meet the Press, and Council on Foreign Relations member, one of their minions, Mr. Russert, said, "What about Skull and Bones?" And Kerry said, "It's so secret, I can't talk about it." And that clip is on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. The clip we've got for you tonight is from February 8th, 2004. George W. Bush, the president, the installed, unelected president, on national television. And Mr. Russert again brings up Skull and Bones, and George Bush says, "It's so secret, I can't talk about it." Think about this. Now, I remember 5-6 years ago being on the radio, being on this television show, and talking about Skull and Bones, and people call in and say, "There's no such organization. The media says only kooks talk about it, conspiracy theorists." It's a public organization. It's in the encyclopedia. John Quincy Adams went after these people. There was a purge to hunt these people down because they were secret British agents using opium money, which was legal at the time, controlled by the British out of China, to destabilize the U.S. And some of the agents that were involved in setting it up for the British, using British funds, were Germans. And to that end, I have an article here from the Scotsman. I also have one here from the Associated Press, and I'll show you a close shot of this. It says, "Election shows where bones are buried." And it goes on to say that it is a German-founded cult, founded at Yale in 1832. Election shows where bones are buried. No one answers when you knock on the iron doors of Skull and Bones Society in the middle of the campus of Yale University. If you have to knock, you are not wanted in. Behind its Greco-Egyptian facade of the High Street in New Haven, the Tomb, the society is said to be one of the most powerful and influential in the United States. Now, for the first time, two bonesmen, as members are known, could go head-to-head for the post of President of the United States of America and Commander-in-Chief. Again, now for the first time, two bonesmen, as members are known, could go head-to-head for the post of President of the United States of America as Commander-in-Chief. Skull and Bones is the social and political network like no other. With all its ritual and macabre relics, it was founded in 1832 as a New World version of secret student societies, the Illuminati, that's admitted, that were common in Germany at the time. Since then, it has chosen or tapped only 15 senior students a year who become patriarchs when they graduate, lifetime members of the Ultimate Old Boys Club. Now, I snuck into Bohemian Grove back in 2000, July 15th of 2000, with a hidden video camera. Mike accompanied me, Mike Hansen, in the control room right now running the show. We had read the Washington Times article that, world leaders, mainly conservatives, meet, German chancellors, British prime ministers, American presidents. They ship in male and female prostitutes, $1,000 an hour. They ship them in. They do all this. They run around naked. And this was the Washington Times, Parade Magazine, But there were only a few hundred articles over the last 30, 40 years. And I went in the LexisNexis and dug them up. It wasn't debatable. They admit it's happening. So I said, why don't we sneak in there? And national British media covered our infiltration. And that's coming up again later. And admittedly, Howard Taft, a chief Skull and Bones member, the first president they publicly put into office, at the turn of the century, went to Bohemian Grove, where there was already an active Luciferian cult operating since 1872, and made it the official headquarters of Skull and Bones. Again, Yale is where they get their young men involved. This hereditary ritual abuse cult, this bloodlines of the Illuminati organization. But Skull and Bones then, when they're middle-aged and old men, go to the Bohemian Grove. This is not my opinion. In my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, that has aired now almost 20 times, I believe 20 times, on the Trio network nationally, they admit in the documentary, they say, hey, Mr. Jones did sneak in and get this video. We're doing a ritual. We're just having fun. What's the big deal? And in my video, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, Helmut Schmidt, German chancellor before Helmut Kohl and now Gerhard Schroeder, Helmut Schmidt, in his own autobiography, Men in Powers, says, I'm a member of the Trilateral Commission, the CFR, the Bilderberg Group. We enjoy our own Druidic rituals in Germany, where these types of organizations were founded. But he says, my favorite place to engage in our Druidic rituals is Northern California at the Bohemian Grove. I spend several weeks there each summer. This is the German chancellor in a book written by him saying it. And we have the Washington Times reporting back in 1996 about the male prostitutes, the running around naked, all of this. I was just there for the kickoff, July 15th. It goes till July 30th, and it gets wilder and wilder, more and more out of control rituals. All I can confirm is the video I shot of them worshiping Moloch, the Canaanite god of human sacrifice, also worshipped in Babylon. Moloch is in your dictionary, the Canaanite god that children were sacrificed to. And they bring in a bound body, an effigy of a child, they burn it. I'm here with all the so-called Christian conservative leaders and Republican governors, all these people there, and some Democrats go as well. Prince Charles goes. They say the only woman who's been allowed to go is Queen Elizabeth. They had Nikita Khrushchev's chief of staff there in the mid-1950s. We have those news articles. I mean, this is bizarre stuff. But we've gone the last 5 years from no one knowing what Skull and Bones is to now John Kerry on Meet the Press saying, yeah, I can't talk about it, it's secret. Yeah, I'm a member. To Bush going, yeah, I can't talk about it, it's so secret. Now understand, at Infowars.com, we have the MSNBC articles, the AP articles, all posted on Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bones. 3 years ago, the Newark Observer caught on video one of the outdoor rituals going on behind a high wall at the tomb at Yale at the Order of Death. You know it as Skull and Bones compound. And they were doing ritual throat slitting of women. A guy comes out dressed like Satan and says, you've now entered the Order of Death. You know, good job. Come join me in Satanism. And they go back into the building. This is all admitted. This is public. But now they know you're so conditioned, they're just out in the open admitting it. So for the first time, we've had 3 Skull and Bones presidents, a whole bunch of CIA directors, most your big bank chairmen and university heads are Skull and Bones, or they're part of an allied cult group. Again, German cults, you name it, they all meet and it was founded by Germany with British money. They all meet in Northern California each year for 15 days. And the entire infrastructure of power is filled with these people. And for those that have trouble believing this, folks, Satanism is real. The worship of Lucifer is real. This is the elite religion. They even have History Channel specials about Hitler, and he believed in Lucifer, and they have this SS Castle where they did these bizarre rituals and human sacrifices. This has all come out. This is what these evil people are into. Even low-level, commoner serial killers, psychopaths. In every case, if you've read criminology, if you've researched it, they're into the occult. They're into Satanism. Well, it's the same thing for the elite, the big, smart, controlling psychopaths that run the system. They're predators by nature. And so they believe in a religion of do as thou wilt, of feeding on the cattle, the chattel, the population. This is the system that we're living under. So even if you're an atheist and don't believe in the devil or God, you know psychopaths believe in the devil. You know that Nero worshiped bizarre gods and engaged in murders, the emperor of Rome. You know about the Aztecs. They believed in this winged serpent and had to sacrifice to it. This is a very common thread throughout ancient cultures. And the ruling elites, the royalty and others, have brought this through to modern day. And occultism is just exploding right now. So I want to go through this Meet the Press interview from February 8th, 2004 with George Bush. We play the clip of them talking about Skull and Bones. Then I go back and re-air some of the clips several times. Then we're going to get into George W. Bush's Air Force National Guard record in the Air National Guard down in Houston, Texas, and then in Alabama because he's been caught in yet another lie. So let's go ahead and analyze this Meet the Press piece. Here is the first part of that where Tim Russert, CFR member, openly revealed Skull and Bones to everyone. This is part of a process, and George Bush's reaction is almost word for word. It's so secret I can't talk about it. Well, that is word for word what John Kerry said. So here it is, both presidential candidates in the same secret society, and I already knew that they were cousins. But I heard NPR the night of the New Hampshire election admit that they are distant cousins. So we got blue bloods, Tories from the Revolution, supporters of Britain, members of a secret society admittedly set up to overthrow the U.S. and set up a dictatorship, now controlling both sides of the political process. It's like WWF wrestling. It's a staged event. Let's go ahead and go to that clip.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322?
First of all, he's not the nominee. And, look, I look for...
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
If you did, what would you do?
Well, I don't plan on losing. I've got a vision for what I want to do for the country. See, I know exactly where I want to lead. I want to lead us. I want to lead this world toward more peace and freedom. I want to lead this great country to work with others to change the world in positive ways, particularly as we fight the war on terror. And we've got changing times here in America too.
Okay, that was chilling as well. Well, I'm not going to lose. Well, I got a vision. I know exactly where I want us to go. Yeah, we know Clear Channel, your buddies that are buying up all the radio stations, put in the voting machines here in Austin. We know Diebold has been caught scamming coast to coast. Their own engineers have gone public. You've been stealing elections. We know the Supreme Court appointed you. And my point is, I'm not saying Al Gore is good either. The elite controls both sides. But they have skirmishes like high-level executives in a corporation for who's going to get the CEO job of Slavery Incorporated. So here is Tim Russert admitting that Bush is in this secret society with the guy he's running against. Bush says, I'm not going to talk about it. It's so secret I can't talk about it. And Russert still says conspiracy theories. There's no conspiracy theory. This is public. I just don't think people realize how serious things have gotten. This has been around forever. Why are they now revealing it? Well, because we've been exposing them, and they know that we're on their tail. So they're having to engage in revelation of the method. Psychological inoculation is their term. They just bring it out, act like it's no big deal, and just normalize it. Go ahead and go back to the clip.
You see, I know exactly where I want to lead. I want to lead us. I want to lead this world toward more peace and freedom. I want to lead this great country to work with others to change the world in positive ways, particularly as we fight the war on terror. And we've got changing times here in America too.
Yeah, hit pause right there. He wants to lead the world in freedom. Worldwide national ID cards are going in, standardized by the UN and the U.S. government with biometrics, same number keypads, a world ID, it's admitted. The matrix system with the states is collecting all your personal data with no warrant for the NSA and Echelon. They've got the TIPS program, total information awareness. These are all just different names for an ongoing program of control. They've passed Patriot Act 1 and 2. They're getting rid of our borders. Bush is going to sign the assault weapons ban next year. Well, now it's not next year, it's this year in September. Oh, excuse me, we're in 04 now. Still getting used to that. Think about this. There's millions of cameras going up. We're losing our freedoms. They're getting ready for a national draft. They're saying terrorists are about to strike again. We got to take your liberties to keep you safe. You look at the evidence, and it's clear that the globalists have carried out the terror attacks to scare us into submission. So he's going to lead the world into freedom. Please continue.
Both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322, 22, 22. The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
wild.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
Sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
Now, why did I air that several times? Bush said, I don't know, I haven't seen the web pages yet. If you look at the transcript from Meet the Press, and it's on our websites, prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. If you look at the transcripts for the interview, it says that it's unintelligible what Bush says there. Russert, you were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society, meaning Bush and Kerry, his cousin. Bush, it's so secret we can't talk about it. Russert, what does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild. Bush, I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen unintelligible yet. Well, he says web pages yet. Bush, I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the unintelligible. He said web pages yet, showing that they're responding to what we're doing. Russert, number 322, laughs, trails off. And again, we have the clip of John Kerry saying the exact same thing at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com, where we have a detailed report that's ongoing and growing as this develops. So we have a generational cult called the Order of Death, publicly known as the Skull and Bones, founded by the British and the Germans, admittedly to overthrow the U.S. and get British control back in here with European domination. It was founded with opium money, and then Skull and Bones members founded the CIA, who began drug dealing immediately. It's incredible. Think about this for yourself. And Bush told a lie during his little piece on Meet the Press. George W. Bush, when Russert asked him, we're going to play that clip later, Russert asked him, he says, do you know John Kerry? Or did you know John Kerry at Skull and Bones? So we've got Tim Russert, the CFR member, saying to Bush, did you know John Kerry when you were at Yale? And Bush says, no, I didn't. Kerry left Yale, graduated 2 years before Bush did. Now, how do we know Bush is lying? Because the Skull and Bones group admits that all of their members have to show back up each year at the graduation ceremony, the secret ceremony of the 15 members. There's 15 people that are tapped each year. And each time a Skull and Bones member marries, the wife is inducted at a ceremony where they attend. So you've got Bush, who is a junior, being tapped when Kerry's leaving Yale as a Skull and Bones member, and Bush says he doesn't know Kerry. Now, Kerry said in a major publication that I knew Bush, I knew what he was up to then when I was at Yale. I know what he's up to, now. He's the same person. And Bush says, no, I didn't know him. Now, understand, I'm not here defending Kerry. This is like WWF, New World Order Federation Wrestling. Again, throwing it in your face. It's theater. It's Shakespearean. It's good cop, bad cop. It's fake left, right. These guys are members of the same secret society. You look at Kerry's voting record, it's about 98% identical to the programs that Bush pushes. Their rhetoric is different, but their actions are the same. Open borders, gun control, arming the communist Chinese, arming North Korea, arming Pakistan. This is the reality. And so think about the horror of this here in America, where we have two people that are cousins from the same area of the country, members of the same secret society, and that's who we have as our Republican and front-runner Democratic candidates. And I said over a year ago, I said, I believe it's going to be John Forbes Kerry for the Democratic nomination running against George Walker Bush. People say, oh no, it's going to be Dean. And I said, well, Kerry's skull and bones. He's got the big money behind him. He's married in with the Hines family. They're an Illuminati bloodline going back to the opium trade. And no, it's going to be Kerry and Bush. I hope I'm wrong. But it looks like that it's a shoe-in with George W. Bush and John F. Kerry. A staged event. You won't even have two separate New World Order power blocks, Gore-Bush, against each other, or Dean-Bush. No, you're going to have John F. Kerry against George W. Bush. And they're cousins. Reuters reported that they're third cousins. Whenever I was listening to NPR a few weeks ago during the New Hampshire primary, I was stunned to hear them say that they're distant cousins. So I guess somebody can go out and do the genealogy research. Reuters says third cousins. I mean, this is ridiculous. We got the two people that are running against each other, and they're related from the same secret society. We've already got a hereditary president. Not a good sign, folks. In North Korea, Kim Jong-il's daddy gives him power. In Syria, Assad is given power by his daddy. And here in the U.S., we have a president's son, while the father's still alive, as the president, with all the election fraud swirling around what happened in 2000. And we have General Eberhart, the head of Northcom, telling the LA Times that martial law is a good thing, another terror attack, we're going to have troops on the streets, give up your rights. The outgoing head of CENTCOM, Tommy Franks, tells Shigar Aficionado that at the next attack, we're going to set aside our republic for a military form of government. Bush is smirking. Are you starting to see what's happening? The elite has gotten out of control. It's happening again. Let's go to the next clip, and then we'll get into Bush's military record, which is public, and that they're scrambling to hide right now. So let's go ahead and go to that.
This is what John Kerry had to say last year. He said that his colleagues are appalled at the, quote, president's lack of knowledge. They've managed him the same way they've managed Ronald Reagan. They send him out to the press for one event a day. They put him in a brown jacket and jeans and get him to move some hay or move a truck, and all of a sudden he's the Marlboro Man. I know this guy. He was 2 years behind me at Yale. I knew him, and he's still the same guy. Yeah. Did you know him at Yale?
No.
How do you respond to that?
Politics. I mean, this is, you know, if you close your eyes and listen carefully to what you just said, it sounds like the year 2000 all over again.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk.
Some footage from the intro of my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. And again, they admit that we snuck in there, got the video of our world leaders, mainly Christian conservatives supposedly, walking around in black hoods with torches, engaging in mock human sacrifice rituals, July 15th, 2000. And there's the footage I shot of them after they set the body on fire, engaging in the cremation of care ritual, a 3,000-plus-year-old religious observance. George Bush, Henry Kissinger, Dick Cheney, George Bush Jr., all publicly members. Type it in the search engine. Bush's members of Bohemian Grove, Sacramento Bee, AP, Washington Times. And it's just, well, they dress up and do some rituals, but and it's all secret, but, you know, what's the big deal? Now, here I was a few years ago confronting Bush the day he announced Cheney as his VP running mate.
Right here. We got him on tape. This is how George Bush dresses. Right here when he's in the Bohemian Grove. He is nothing but a Luciferian twit. A Luciferian twit, Bush.
It didn't matter what my interpretation was. Alex has 8 million listeners. There are millions out there who, like Alex, absolutely believe that the men at Bohemian Grove are the satanic secret rulers of the world.
We have the videotape. This is a massive story. One of the stories of the century. One of the stories of the century.
It's our opinion that it's satanic. And so you understand what you just saw. The British took my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, cut it up, and made it part of a 5-hour documentary called Secret Rulers of the World. So you understand what you were just seeing, that British voice. The British media took my footage, my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, and made it part of a 5-hour special that aired from Japan to Germany to the UK and has now aired 19 times last time I checked, and I've heard that it aired again, so over 20 times, but I've confirmed 19 times. 19 times on the Trio Network. And in that documentary, the Bohemian Grove group at the end says, yes, Mr. Jones got this footage. Yes, we're doing a ritual, but it's just for fun, and, Mr. Jones has got a problem. I've got a problem for sneaking in to a place where the Washington Times admits they ship in male prostitutes for our Christian conservative leaders. They're so Christian, they're so conservative. It's like that movie Dragnet, Hollywood Throwing at Your Face, that comedy. Who's in that? Tom Hanks, and isn't Candy in that too? Or no, it's Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks, that's right. And the Christian preacher is really the leader of the pagans out in California, and the porn peddlers, not really the bad guy. It's just, compared to our Christian conservative leaders. It's so sick, my friends, to have this going on. And just look at the fruits of George W. Bush. Look at the government grown by 45% in 3 years, doubling Bill Clinton's growth. The loss of liberty, the open borders, the gun control. And the average conservative has no idea that this is even happening. I want to play from my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, just a few minutes of the ritual.
Malevolence which would pursue us here has lost its power under these friendly trees. So shall we burn thee once again this night, and in the flames that eat thine effigy, we shall read the sign, Midsummer sets us free. Ye shall burn me once again. Now it would leave flame, which hither ye have brought from regions where I reign. Ye fools and priests, I spit upon your fire. Tomorrow, prince of all mortal wisdom, thou of Bohemia, we beseech thee, grant us thy counsel. Long-detested care, be gone. Once more, we banish thee. Be gone, dull care. Fire shall have its will of thee. Be gone, dull care. And all the winds make merry with thy dust. Hail, fellowship's eternal flame. Once again, Midsummer sets us free.
Yeah, I just want to play a few minutes of this so you get an idea from my film, Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove, the mindset of our Christian, conservative, Republican leaders, and Democrats attend as well. But the point is that it's a controlled paradigm. They're all members of the same organizations, and they're selling out our freedom. They're setting up a ruling class elite where there's no room for liberty. That's been the norm throughout history. America was different. Now we're losing that. Here's part of the Bohemian Grove ritual. 2000.
Grant us thy counsel.
Upon further research of the ritual you've just witnessed, it becomes clear. It is a mixture of the Babylonian Canaanite cult of Moloch fused with ancient Druidic rites where you have the female side of Satan, which they first call out to in the she, and then towards the horn god with the he, mixed with Masonic rites from Scotland. It's very likely that many of the 1,500 to 2,000 member crowd had really no idea what they were actually watching because it was thinly veiled. Here we have some more enhanced video as the boatman, again with his face painted up like a skull, pulls his boat across the small lake towards the high priest with the red of his cloak visible, with his hand outstretched as if he is pulling the damned soul towards him as they throw off their cares, their conscience for what they have to do in the world. Also, you have the arrangement of the circle of higher level priests around him, the high priest in lighter colors, and then the outer rings of red, and then those in black. This is consistent with the darker workings of the occult, not just with the Western countries, but also worldwide. Now, when you see that black edge coming to the field, that's because... No, go ahead and just take me off the screen, guys. People can see it on the video, and many times the picture was almost out of the screen, so that's the edge of the field or the view of the camera. I want to get into Bush's military records and more of his lies. But the point is, you were just watching a church service. You got the choir, you got the priest, you've got the people separated who are the parishioners watching all of this take place with all of this regalia. And we're told from our sources inside the Grove and from even mainstream news reports that we were just there for the kickoff. It gets more insane, more out of control. And yes, they found a lot of dead bodies of children in the area after the encampment takes place. That's been in the news over the years. And it's admitted they ship in the male and female prostitutes for our Christian conservative leaders. So this is what's going on. And it's very scary where we have both John F. Kerry and George W. Bush, who are related to each other, being the two candidates for president in 2004. We've never had this before. It's very, very serious. Also, in the Meet the Press piece, Tim Russert brings up Bush's military records. And it just so happens that I have Bush's military records. And on the website, we have the Associated Press article where just a day after Bush went on Meet the Press and said, oh, yeah, I'll give you the military records, the feds went into the St. Louis depository where we got his military records and seized them to, quote, keep them safe and decide if they can be released. Now, in the Meet the Press interview, Bush says, well, the records are in Colorado, and they've never found them. You know, they've been looking for them. That's right. The records in Colorado have disappeared, and the Pentagon will not answer phone calls on this issue. But a few months ago, we got copies of this from a radio listener in St. Louis who went to one of the other big depositories of National Guard records and did get them. And we have the Freedom of Information Act request, the FOIA request that was put in, and then we have the release by the Pentagon of Bush's flight records, of his service records, where he was grounded for refusing to take a flight certification medical test, a drug test. We have the documents where Bush was AWOL for 21 months. But no one ever went after him for it because his daddy, for the years that he was in the National Guard, had just left Congress and was the Chinese ambassador for the U.S. and then at the time about to become head of the National Spy Group, CIA. And we have them all right here. They're posted on the websites, and you can read the truth. So the mainstream media has these documents, and only a few newspapers have dared look at them. But now Bush is scrambling to seize them and keep the public from seeing them. So let's go ahead and go to Bush lying on Meet the Press about his military record. And then he craftily, his speechwriters, or those that were giving him talking points, they admit that he practiced this for days if he was asked certain questions, and he'd been given the questions in advance. Bush says, don't talk about my record, or what you're really doing is you're bashing the National Guard. And that's the equivalent of if somebody is drunk and they run over somebody in a Ford pickup truck and the drunk gets out and says, hey, police, don't arrest me or you're putting down Ford. Do you understand? I mean, how crazy this is? If somebody goes AWOL from the National Guard or the Delta Force, they get in trouble. They should get in trouble. And just because they court-martial someone doesn't mean the Delta Force on one end of the spectrum or the Air National Guard is bad. But Bush tries to associate it with attacking the military to look at his record. And it's just so obvious he's lying here, but we don't have to go off his body language. We have the documents. Bush had the lowest flight rating you can possibly have. Anyone else would have been scrubbed, kicked off. This was a Silver Spoon a group down in Houston with multiple members of Congress's children, sons on it. This is disgusting. And then Bush runs off to Alabama, doesn't even show up, and then he admits that 8 months before his term was over, he did run off to Harvard Business School. But forget the 7 to 8 months. We have Bush gone for 21 months before that, refusing drug tests, refusing flight certification, medical checkups. The point is he's a liar. And remember, this is the guy that told you his new amnesty isn't an amnesty when it's the biggest amnesty in history. So here it is.
Engaged. The chairman of the Democratic National Committee, Terrence McAuliffe, said this last week. I look forward to that debate when John Kerry, a war hero with a chest full of medals, is standing next to George Bush, a man who was AWOL in the Alabama National Guard. He didn't show up when he should have showed up.
Yeah.
How do you respond?
Political season's here. I was served in the National Guard. I flew F-102 aircraft. I got an honorable discharge. I've heard this ever since I started running for office. I mean, it's I put in my time, proudly so. I would be careful to not denigrate the Guard. It's fine to go after me, which I expect the other side will do. I wouldn't denigrate service to the Guard, though. And the reason I wouldn't is because there's a lot of really fine people who've served in the National Guard and who are serving in the National Guard today in Iraq.
The Boston Globe and the Associated Press have gone through some of the records and said there's no evidence you reported for duty in Alabama during the summer and fall of 1972.
Yeah, they're just wrong. There may be no evidence, but I did report. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been honorably discharged. In other words, you don't just, say I did something without there being verification. The military doesn't work that way. I got an honorable discharge, and I did show up in Alabama.
You did we're allowed to leave 8 months before your term expired. Is there a reason?
Right. Well, I was going to Harvard Business School and worked it out with the military.
When allegations were made about John McCain or Wesley Clark in their military records, they opened up their entire files.
Sure.
Would you agree to do that?
Yeah, listen, these files have been, I mean, people have been looking for these files for a long period of time, trust me. And starting in the 1994 campaign for governor. And I can assure you in the year 2000, people were looking for those files as well. Probably you were. And absolutely, I mean,
And Bush says, yeah, I did. You know, I don't know if you can find the records. I don't know if you can look at them. I think they're in Colorado. Yeah. And they were expunged there. But we got them from St. Louis. And you were grounded for not showing up, for refusing to take your drug test, and you disappeared for 21 months. Here are the documents. And now, the day after he goes on Meet the Press, the Pentagon goes to St. Louis and seizes all the records and says, quote, we have to decide if these can be released and made public. Anybody's record is